Banana people, it's your good buddy Rue here to discuss a bunch of recent trades that he's read. This way, I can kind of get away from the fact that I haven't really done one of these for single issues in a couple weeks because it looks like it's because I've been reading all these trades. So for this review, I'm going to go back to an older format where I go worst comic to best comic, then followed by an older trade that really that I just kind of got around to. So here we go. Red Lanterns, Volume 1, Blood and Rage. Anybody who's watched this in the past knows that I used New DC to shift most of my DC reading to trade. I, of course, kept Batman because I can't wait that long for a book by Scott Snyder, and I've turned into a Flash whore, apparently, and that book is just awesome, and I'm glad I get it monthly. And another thing, one note here, when I say worst, I can't believe I just did that air quotes thing, sorry. What I really mean is I liked it the least. I'm finally very happy with where my pull list and buying habits are. I say this because I know that it will probably annoy some people, because it would annoy me if it seemed like the person doing reviews liked everything they read. I'm choosing to look at it as I'm liking everything I'm spending my money on. There have been some recent books I got from the library that I thought were just terrible, and by the time I got around to maybe doing this, I owed money and I had to take them back. So I'll probably get them again in the future just to show you that I can dislike something. But on to Red Lanterns. This book, I get why people don't like it. A lot of the major critiques for most of the new DC books that, well, not most, but there's a core of them, like a core set of DC books, Suicide Squad, Red Hood and the Outlaws, I think that's what it's called, and Red Lanterns, where the core critiques, the major critiques seem to boil down to, this book is absurd, it's crazy, it's unbelievable, I can't believe what they did to so-and-so, and these are all valid complaints. I'm not putting them down if you truly do not like these attributes in a comic book. I love them. Another major complaint I'm hearing a lot, from the internet, which means maybe 1% of people who actually take the time to type on the internet like the comic they're typing about, is that comics aren't fun anymore. I'm just getting this out of the way. Absurd, crazy, unbelievable, and fun is what this book is. It's stupid and silly, and serious business comic book readers are just hate this, and I get it. I'm not putting them down. They really have valid complaints, but this is too much fun to ignore. Add to that, it's a spin-off of everybody's favorite punching bag right now, Loeb, and it's basically a perfect storm of haterade. Comics are entertainment, in my opinion. Like I'm offering some new insight to comic books. There are great comics out there that inspire you to think, that make you use your brain, and these are great. I thoroughly enjoy these too. But sometimes you need a book that says, I'm going to turn my brain off and just enjoy the ride. And this is just enjoyment. That's purely what this is. All that being said, I'll get Volume 2 eventually. It's not at the top of my list. I'll wait for a slow week or a slow month. Red Lanterns, as much fun as it is a solid B minus, and I'm not really dying to see what happens next. Same with this next book. Suicide Squad Volume 1, Kick in the Teeth. Regarding all of the major complaints of this book, I encourage you just to listen to the last 3 minutes. One other complaint I have seen about this book, and it's one that I truly don't care about, is how this reflects on previous Suicide Squads. Ostrander, who is a creator I thoroughly enjoy, Star Wars Legacy, yes, and I've already pre-ordered Dawn of the Jedi, and a whole bunch of these other runs that are classics, yada yada yada. It's a new universe. I never read those books, and I don't have to. I don't care. This was a wild ride. I really do. This is one of those books where I think people will actually die for real. There were actual consequences to actions, and well, Harley Quinn's just always a hoot and a half. Along with, I'm finally reading a book where Deadshot comes off as a character I can see why people like. Again, I'll wait for a month where my pre-orders aren't very high for Volume 2. I am curious to see where it goes. I'll get this before I'll get Red Lanterns Volume 2. But again, a B plus at best. And if you don't like absurd, if you really are not a fan of those kind of things, just kind of skip both of these books. It's up to you. Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 9 Freefall. I'm not exactly sure if Freefall is the name of the season or the name of this volume, so I'm just going to say it's called Freefall until prove otherwise. I'm going to say it again. Season 8 sucked huge balls. Don't read it if you can help it. Ignore it. I don't listen to my own advice, obviously, but ignore it. Go to Wikipedia if you want everything explained to you, and then explain it to me. But Season 9, on the other hand, at least it's starting off, it feels like classic Buffy. It's funny, especially the end of the first issue. It's heartfelt, stressful, caring, and add this to how good Angel and Faith Volume was, and we have some really good concurrent stories going on. Volume 1 just came out. I've already pre-ordered Volume 2 of Buffy. And I read on Twitter recently, and we know how accurate that is, that they're already wrapping up Season 9. One of the major problems with Season 8 was how long it was. I would love to read everything that Season 9 related, but there's a Spike mini coming out by Victor Gischler of X-Men and Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth, and all that other garbage fame, and I can't do it. I cannot read any more of his books. I have no idea how he has a job. Demon Knights, Volume 1, Seven Against the Dark. DC, because I know everybody who's anybody watches this show, whatever it's called. Let this book play out. For the love of all is holy, give Cornell the room to let this play out. This book, Demon Knights, has the potential to become one of the few great mainstream epics. There's nothing tying this to anything that we need to worry about in modern day DC or even All-Star Western, whatever that's called right now, to worry about continuity or anything. Let these creators, Paul Cornell and Oscar Albert, I'm not even know how to pronounce these names. There you go. Read it yourself. Give them the room to build this universe. I've always been a fan of Jason Blood and Etrigan. I can't pronounce his name. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Anybody should know this by now. Shining Knight from the Seven Soldiers, Vandal Savage, and Madame Xanadu. Add all this together along with some new characters. This is just this is really can't miss story. I can't stress enough how good Demon Knights is. It's one of those things where you don't know anybody because it's happening in the past, and again, new universe. But again, a lot of these characters have been B-list, C-list characters that have been possibly ignored in old DC. Introducing them and the other new characters and the magic and the rules of this universe was seamless, and it felt natural. And I want more. Rue what now? Rue Beer good, Demon Knights good, Rue what now? Speaking of Rue what, Venom Volume 2 and 3, which I've already pre-ordered because of Venom Volume 1. Never, ever, 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 never, ever, never, especially since Lethal Protector. God, I'm old. Did I ever think that I'd be reading, let alone buying a Venom book? And all I can say is thank God for a recommender. Out of Spider-Man's shadow, Venom and Flash Thompson, who are basically two separate characters in this, really do shine. This does run along with Amazing Spider-Man, but I don't read Amazing Spider-Man anymore because Alberto Ramos makes my eyes literally bleed, and I know how to use the word literally. And I wasn't lost at all. Issue 5 reminded me of, I don't even know the issue number, the last book in the first trade of Sandman, The Sound of Her Wings or whatever. It's a standalone, very, very emotional comic, and it was one of the best single issues of a superhero book I've read in a long time. Again, I want more. I've already pre-ordered 2 and 3, and Colin Bunn of Six Gun fame is taking over when Remender leaves, so good news all around. Moving on. I'm already at 9 minutes, so I need to keep going. Daredevil Volume 1. Daredevil by Mark Waid Volume 1, because that's how it's sold now. It's always whoever it's by. I think in Venom... No, it's not. Okay, cool. But Daredevil by Mark Waid Volume 1. I read the first issue of this. I think I even have it somewhere in this room when it first came out, and I have to say I wasn't a fan. I didn't get the hype. But there really are only so many. Daredevil is the best book of the year, best book Marvel's putting out, standout series of 2012. All these quotes you can read before you just have to give another chance. And I'm very glad I did. I really think what turned me off initially was how disjointed it felt from the Bendis, Brubaker, and Diggle eras, and anything that takes away from how Diggle's run ended, in my opinion, is a good thing. But time, 6 months, I think, 6 months plus, and reading issue number 2, heals all wounds. I'm not going to say it's the best book of 2012, but especially or 2011. I really don't know when this started, but damn, if it isn't that with the best Daredevil book I've read since Bendis' run ended, and in my opinion, that's saying a lot when you compare it to Brubaker or even the beginning of Diggle. If you aren't reading Daredevil, I'm going to join the chorus. People are telling you you need to be reading this. It is a fantastic book. The art is quirky. It is not as sunshiny and good feeling as it looks and reads. There is an undertone of darkness that really comes out in this trade that really does feel like it is coming from what ended a while ago, what the recent Daredevil runs. You've heard me talk about this before, but there's a new Blacksad volume out. And Silent Hell, I really don't know if this is a volume 2 or a next volume or how Dark Horse is doing this, because they are translations of Spanish comic books, or maybe French, but I'm fairly certain it's Spanish, especially if you look at those names, which, again, not going to bother trying to pronounce. It's books like Blacksad that really piss me off with the anti-superhero crowd. And not the ones who just ignore superhero books and actually read great alternatives, but the ones who are just bitching and moaning about how comic books are only superhero books, and they actually don't actually read anything else, because then they'd actually have to swallow their complaints about what is out there. Pick up the alternatives. Go get a previews magazine from your LCS. It's usually pretty cheap, or hell, at mine it's free. And just go past Marvel, go past DC. And Image has some great things coming out with Mondo and Prophet. This book, going back to Blacksad, it is a beautifully painted, watercolored crime noir book that touches on everything we love of that genre. The blues music, drugs, sex, corporate greed, fathers, sons, and just, again, the underlying current of love and how that can actually ruin us. If you never have listened to me before, if you've never watched my show before, if you've just ignored every show you've ever watched, if you never do anything I tell you to do again, go out and buy Blacksad, Volume 1, which is just called Blacksad, and Volume 2 is Silent Hell. If you know Spanish or French, then you're good to go. And finally, you hear my dog upstairs. My wife's about to get really mad at me for not helping her carrying the groceries. Resurrection Man from OldDC, Volume 1. First of all, DC, where's Volume 2? It's been long enough. Again, if you can hear that, that's Thor. That's my dog. I know why this book failed. I know why this book failed in Old DC. I know why this book failed in New DC. Oh, spoilers, it's been canceled. And it's because too much actually happens. Status quos change. People actually die for reals, mostly. And to mainstream comic book readers, and more importantly, the corporate overlords, this is unacceptable. Actually think about any mainstream book recently, and tell me what has actually happened and what's actually changed and what wasn't totally just reversed within the year. And I know I sound like those people I just said I hated, but sometimes they actually do speak the truth. Abbott Landing, as always, are great, and as always, they are canceled way too soon, way too quickly, and that's why we don't have an active Marvel Cosmic Universe right now, because things are just... Marvel and DC don't want us to have good things. The bunny and the mouse hate us all. Okay, that part was a slight exaggeration. I'm still waiting. I still want to read this. Where's Volume 2? I need to know how this ends. Okay, I'm serious about to get yelled at, so everybody have a good one. If anybody wants to look up right there, the top 2 shelves right there, those are all the trades that I haven't read yet. And so that's what I'm going to be spending a lot of my time on. And I just now found this book. I got this from the library, Justice League Lost. This isn't going to be in the write-up or anything. Again, I never really cared about Justice League. I gave this a chance because of all the people talking about it, and it's Judd Winnick. This book, this is Volume 2. There's 2 of them, Volume 1 and 2. This was freaking awesome. Brightest Day can go do whatever it needed to do, whatever that limited series, 26 issues was. Justice League Lost was an awesome comic book, and I never read anything about those characters before. You didn't need to. Keep that in mind. Get it from the library if you don't want to pay for it, because honestly, that's what libraries are for. And everybody have a good one. Later, peeps.